If, like me, you've been using the bread and butter thing to get some of your produce and grocery shopping for the week, you've probably ended up with a few of these lately. Yes, courgettes. Last year, I grew so many, it was ridiculous. I thought I won't bother growing any this year, but I've still ended up with a glut of courgettes coming from varieties of other sources, mostly from either a Too Good To Go box or from a bread and butter thing collection. If you're not sure what the bread and butter thing is, I will put a link in the description box below and probably put a video at the end of here for a link for it there. But you're going to end up with courgettes, and courgettes are a funny thing. I think most people will probably end up just throwing them in a pasta sauce or a ratatouille or something like that. I've made a variety of things in the past with them, but this time I want to try something else. I mean, I've done courgette cakes, I've done courgette breads. This time I want to do a thing that's popping up on my feeds on Pinterest and Instagram, which is, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Scarpaccia or Scarpaccia. Anyway, I'll put a link to a couple of the Pinterest recipes. I'm kind of what's the word for them? What's the word I'm looking for? When you collect information from a variety of sources, my brain is fried sometimes. Anyway, put a comment for me if you can think of what I'm thinking of. When you look at a variety of sources and pull all the information together, there's got to be a word I'm thinking of. Can't find it at the moment. Anyway, we're going to make it. It's basically like a baked dish, but it's almost like a fritter, but you cook it in one large pan as opposed to a thick individual fritter. Anyway, it looks really delicious. It looks super crispy. So we're going to give a go making that. So let's see how we go. First thing first, you can either mandolin slice or slice really thinly your courgette, or you can grate it. I'm going for grating. So I'm just going to trim the very little nubbin off the bottom because I don't want that in there. And then I'm going to grate until I get to about there. We're going to do 2 medium-ish courgettes and see how we get on. So I'll be back once I finish grating. Okay, I have done the courgettes. I've done 1 red onion diced. I've done 3 cloves of garlic. I'm just going to push these to the side when I find my scraper. Where's my scraper gone? There it is. Sorry, off camera looking for scraper. Just move that to the side for a second. What we're going to do with the courgette is I'm just going to squeeze out any excess liquid, because we all know that courgette can be quite wet. So I'm going to squeeze it into here because we're going to use any of the courgette liquid to make the batter. In fact, what I'm going to do to start this off is I'm going to put my onion and garlic into a frying pan. I've just put a little bit of spray oil in there. So set that off over there, as you can see, down there. And then what I can do is, as I've squeezed the courgette, I can put it in there as well, and then we know when we're all used up. Okay, so squeeze it as hard as you can, get as much liquid as you can out of it. Ooh, there we go, and then pop it in the frying pan. So we're getting a good teaspoon of liquid out from a handful. I've not salted this. If you salted it, you'd end up with even more liquid coming out, but I don't want to put too much salt into this. So I'm going to continue doing this, and what we're going to do is just fry off the courgette and the onions for about 6 to 7 minutes until they've just browned off slightly, just to give them a bit of toastiness. And then we will make the batter. Frying off on the side, I'm just going to leave that to it. I'm going to make the batter now. So it is 1 cup of, as the Americans call it, AP flour or plain flour. 1/3 cup of cornmeal. A little bit of oil. So about a tablespoon of oil. I've not quite got a tablespoon of olive oil there, so I'm just going to put in a little bit of avocado oil. There we go. Then we are going to add some thyme in theory, but I haven't got any, so I'm going to add just some mixed herbs just to give it a little bit of flavour. About a tablespoon of mixed herbs. Then approximately a 3/4 of a cup of liquid. So we have got so far about 100 mils of our courgette liquid there. So I'm just going to add some water to that to bring it up to 3/4 of a cup. There we go. And we're going to add that in. A little bit of salt and pepper, just to get that extra flavour going. And then we're just going to give it a good old mix. There we are. So give that a mix up. Possibly you might need to add extra liquid to this. It all depends on your flour. Also, apparently your altitude can affect, and the humidity can affect how much you need to add, because this is clearly too thick. So we're going to go in with definitely some more liquid. There we go. Into all those nooks and crannies in there. We want to be able to not have this like a really runny batter, but not so thick that we can't mix in the other ingredients very easily. So you want to just have it a bit more pourable, because we're going to go back into our big bowl, I think, to be able to mix this all together with the rest of the courgette mixture. So I think I've put in an extra 100 mils in there. So that's probably taking it to nearer to a cup of liquid. So that feels a bit better, a bit looser, because it's got to be able to coat all the courgette. There we go. Much better. I'm going to get my big bowl that we had the courgette back into and decant the courgette into there once it has finished frying off. I can see some browning going on in the onions. Just going to go for a little bit longer on this, because obviously while I am cooking this, it is reducing more of the moisture out of the courgette as well, which will help to make this go a little bit more crispy. So a few more moments in the frying pan, and then we'll go on to the next step. We are out of the pan now. I've just let it cool a little bit. It's still a little bit steamy, but that should be fine. We're going to go in with our mixture of our batter. Make sure we scrape all that in. Now I've got a baking tray ready for this. I have sprayed it with some oil to make sure it doesn't stick. Make sure you put enough on and into the corners, especially. Let's give this a good mix. There we go. Right, the oven is on. It's on quite a high heat. It's on about 210. That's a fan. But this apparently takes quite a lot of heat, and is also going to take a good 40 minutes plus to crisp up enough. But I'm just going to keep an eye on it just to make sure. So I'm going to come back at, like 30 minutes, because different people's ovens seem to do different things, and I want to make sure that I give an accurate account of how long it took my oven to do. So spread it all around. Like I say, into all the corners. You want a nice even layer. Okay. think what I'm going to do is give this a little, just to get it stable. Again, more oil on top because we want to make sure it crisps and browns. The whole idea of this is to be lovely and crispy, and also just to make doubly sure, some of our cornmeal. There you go. See, my brain, terrible. Cornmeal on top, which will help give it some more crispiness. There we go. All the way over. Right, like I say, this is going in the oven, high heat, for, like I say, I'm going to check it after 30 minutes and see where we are up to. For some reason, I had a feeling, I don't know why, but I had a feeling, and I came back in at just about 25 minutes and brought it out to have a good look at. And I'd noticed it had gone really quite crispy in the corners. So I decided that I would have a look at how it was underneath. So I went in with a spatula and just kind of lifted it to have a bit of a look. And it seemed to be getting, whoa, that was close. It seemed to be, I mean, there's the crispiness that we want. I don't want it to get any more coloured there. It's probably not quite as coloured as I'd want there, but I don't want a chance everywhere else, because we look overall, it's only just this little bit here that's not as coloured as everywhere else. So I've lifted it up. So in theory, this now should slide off. So after 25 minutes, I spun it round and put it in for another 7 minutes or so. So let's just get that under there. Do you know what? Shall I be sensible and use 2 hands instead of trying to do it with one? That would be good, wouldn't it? I can smell the courgette though. It smells really nice. So I'm just going to lift, and there we go. That can go onto there. I'm just going to put the pan in the sink. There we go. So we have got full. I'm going to flip it over. Ooh, there we go. There's crispiness on that side. And right, I'm going to leave that to cool now for about 15 minutes before I try it, because otherwise it's going to blow my head off. Plus, it'll let the air circulate around it, and any areas that are not crispy will crisp up even further. Okay, this has cooled for about 15 minutes. I am going to cut it up into pieces now. I'm going to get my big knife and, oh, that's a very good sound. There we go. I think we're going to go there. I say, it smells absolutely lovely. And let's cut it into, say, thirds. So we're going to end up with 12 pieces ultimately, but I'm just going to cut that one off for now so that we can do a taste test, because that's the best bit. Okay, taste test time. Okay, it's chewy, but I think that's purely because of how crispy it is. You know, when something's really crispy, it takes more time to chew. Really, really tasty. I think putting in the mixed herbs definitely worked. That is really, really good. That is something I could make again, no problem. I think I'm going to put some of it in Chris's lunchbox tomorrow. He will enjoy that. A fried egg. Actually, if you like eggs, I mean, we don't have eggs very often, but if you like an egg on top of that, I can imagine would be quite nice. That's lovely. That's a really great snack, that. A really great lunch. And I'm just going to have to think now, if we were going to have that for a main meal, what would we have with it? Let me know in the comments below, what would you have with it? What have you done with Scarpaccia? Or what would you think we could do with it? Let me know, like I say, in those comments below. Thanks for watching. If you're looking up for some more video inspiration, Use It Up videos over there. And I'll see you next time.